Hi everyone, my name is Maxwell Mazur, and today I'm going to be discussing a few tips and tricks based off of Edward Barr's 101 Tips for Improving Business Communication. A little background on me. Professionally, I am a mechanical engineer for NextEra Energy, and in 2023 I graduated with my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. So to give a little preview on what we're going to discuss today is I want to go over some ways we can help relate to our audience. And similar to how a bridge connects two separate areas, I'm going to discuss ways we can bridge the gap between different knowledge bases and different audiences. So let's begin. So the tips I'm going to be covering today are tip number 20 from Barr's book, Create Shortcuts for Memory, and tip number 21, using analogy and metaphors. So tip number 20 is creating shortcuts for memory. Barr talks a lot about how we can use acronyms to create a shortcut for different people and different memories. So an example that we use that's seen a lot, especially in engineering, is we're using acronyms all the time for different processes, different pieces of equipment, and so on. And this can be useful in a way where we can speed up our understanding. We can remember things a little bit easier based off that acronym. However, it's important to know your audience when you're using acronyms, right? If I'm talking to an engineer in the same company, especially, I can be pretty confident that they're going to understand the acronyms I'm using, especially if it's someone I'm commonly working with. I can be confident that they're going to understand the acronyms I'm using. However, if I'm giving a presentation to maybe the executives, talking to vendors, or even talking with just business personnel about a problem and communicating with them, these acronyms might not be so useful and they could lead to miscommunication, right? Oftentimes we can be sending emails using these acronyms, and someone who's not familiar with the acronym might kind of just pass over it and ignore it and just kind of wait till it pops back up to figure out what it means. This can lead to a lot of miscommunication down the road, and overall can be pretty harmful to reaching our purpose when talking to another person. So some of the things to keep in mind when using acronyms is understanding the implications, understanding the meaning, and also, most importantly, understanding the audience when using acronyms. So moving on, we talk about tip number 21, using analogy and metaphors to improve your business communication. So if you recall from the beginning of the presentation, I made an analogy to a bridge and how a bridge connects two separate areas. So that was just a little analogy, minor, just to talk about what we're going to discuss today and relate what we're talking to a bridge. But the analogies can be very useful, especially when you're talking about technical things. So as an engineer, we talk a lot with a lot of different people, but especially when we're talking with someone who's unfamiliar. These analogies can be useful in simplifying what we're talking about, right? It helps them relate a bit more. If we're talking about something that, really has no, let's say, for example, we're talking about wind turbines to someone who works in accounting. They have no relation to that at all. However, if we can use an analogy or metaphor to kind of make them think, oh yeah, I understand that a little bit more now, or yeah, I've heard of that before, so I can relate a bit. It can help get our point across to the audience a bit more, and it can just help them understand what we're discussing. It can also bring a little more attention to your presentation. If we're constantly going on about all these technical terms to an audience who doesn't understand what we're talking about, at the end of the day, our purpose is not going to be reached. So biggest thing I can urge with this is just understanding the comparisons you make. We don't want to use negative comparisons or something that might not be taken well by the audience, but just understanding what comparisons we're making and the meaning that they have. And in that case, analogies and metaphors can be extremely useful. And in conclusion, just wanted to talk about some of the things we discussed today, how acronyms can be useful, and understanding your audience. We see it all the time that acronyms can cause confusion, but when used sparingly and with the right audience, they can be useful. And also talked a bit today about how analogies can lead to a better relationship with your audience and just kind of bring everyone on the same page. So thank you for your time today, everyone.